Well, it looks like Ethan Ralph may have some good news his way. Let's check this out.
The Vickers family, and this is one thing that Ralph can take solace in. The Vickers family is vanishing. Vickers has randomly, spontaneously closed down all of his internet presence. He is apparently moving the Rockland coin shop from a physical location in Rockland, California.
You don't say. You don't say. Wow. Wow. Did the Vickers clan really put so much money into going after Ethan Ralph that it ended up costing them all. Like, I don't know. I don't know if they're bankrupt, but it looks like in the closing shop, they're shutting things down. He's selling off equipment. You saw that in a post. We already know about that. He's selling off his microphone and other stuff, the router, and some crap, some garbage. Like, why would anybody need that? They already have it. Okay. Wow. Wow. I look, man. There's some people who are still like, "Hey, Vickers in the right. You know, he needs to go after Ralph for every little penny, whatever." Are you really? For what? You know what? You know, they'll be like, "Oh, are you serious?" All this. They'll give you a whole list of reasons why, and they misunderstood what I meant by for what. I don't mean for what he did. I mean for what he could possibly, and I say he, I mean Vickers and the Vickers clan, what they could possibly gain in return. You see, going after someone who is pretty much bankrupt and makes next to nothing for child support, especially when they live far, far away, and it's going to take so many moves and cost so much to get that, is not really that smart of a thing to do. It's counterintuitive. The best thing to do is it's just gone. It's done. It's whatever. He's a deadbeat dad. He doesn't want to be involved. Okay, boom. Okay. But really, the Vickers clan and the people really around him, his cheerleaders, egged him on, right? And then, he was fueled by vindication, all right? Fueled to put judgment on Ethan Ralph. Maybe it's because every time he sees the baby, his grandchild, he's reminded. Huh. But, I mean, was it worth it? Was it worth going to court all those times? Was it worth... I don't think it was. Any sensible person would be like, even before hearing Ethan Ralph was bankrupt, I mean, how much money do you think Ethan Ralph actually has? Even, or I should say, had even back then. It's like, you're not getting anything from him. You're not going to force him to pay. You can't force him to pay. What, you're going to garnish his wage? What wage? He doesn't have a job. Okay? And people may not there's still going to be some Vickers cheerleaders who don't want to hear that. But it's the reality of it. Okay? It is just, well, let this be a lesson, man. If for some reason you get caught up in this stuff, if your daughter makes some poor choices and gets knocked up by some disgusting podcaster guy or whatever, and the internet encourages you to like lay down the judgment and go get that hog for everything he has, don't get into that stuff. You're not going to get anything. And this even goes for Harry. Like, you're not getting anything. I'm not saying, hey, you could do what you want to do. It's your choice. But you and I both know you're not getting anything worth of value in return other than, oh, you got an own. But what did that cost you? What did that cost you? Be sensible about it. Be real about it. Okay? Anyway, what else does Noel say here?
To a virtual only presence. And he's gone, basically. Vickers has disappeared. Years and years ago, When Faith first abandoned her family to go live with Ralph on the other side of the country, Vickers joined the Kiwi Farms.
That's true. Yeah.
And I told him straight up that his like because he had a very punitive approach to dealing with Faith. He shut off her phone.
A punitive, and he's also a very stubborn man. You can't really talk him out of much of anything. So I'm really still surprised this happened. It must have really been something out of his control, like really out of his control for this to happen, or to convince him.
Phone. He threatened her. He basically said that she was going to do everything he said, or she would be like removed from the family. She, so on and so forth. And when that happened, I told him on the forum. You can go look this up if you have the time, if you're really that interested. And I said, all you're doing is pushing her away further. This is a failed tactic. She's in the clutches of a.
Yeah, think about that. Think about that. Imagine your daughter goes far, far away, cross country, right, to go live with this guy, and you want to be like, "You're gonna listen to me, otherwise I'm gonna cut off your phone." And she's like, "No, all right, so I'm gonna cut off your phone." Now you don't have any way to talk to her. Okay? That I understand that, like we want to go. I say we as men, may want to use that approach, be tough and think it's going to work. No. But here's the other thing. I'm going to say this to be that guy. Parenting is pretty tough. And like when you have, when you have teenagers that are making some poor choices, and I mean, you may even know this if you think about when you were younger and you got involved with like, your girlfriends or whatever. And maybe your parents didn't want you to do certain things, but you did it anyway. It didn't like. I mean, what I'm saying is, yeah, it would have been better for Vickers to keep an open channel. We don't really know if that was really going to change things for that, and because you just don't know. You just don't know about that. But it would have been better to use that approach than. Obviously, the really tough authoritarian approach.
A man bear pig monster in Virginia, and your threats don't work. You by disconnecting her phone, all you're doing is making her further rely on Ethan Ralph for things that she needs. What are you doing? And he shoots back at me and says, "Boy, I'm the father of like 10 kids. And I know a little bit about fathering more than you do. So you can."
That's kind of funny because he knows a little bit about fathering. But keep in mind, before she even went to Ethan Ralph's house, there was a lot of communication things happening within his home to Ralph, to Dick Masterson, to people like that. There's a lot of stuff going on under his roof that he probably should have known about, right? Look, I understand it's tough to check in on your kids sometimes, especially when they become teenagers or young adults. It's like, but hey, if they're living under your roof and you want to help them make right choices, hey, it's good to check those messages out. Okay. It's good to screen that stuff and see what's going on there. Anyway, yeah.
Can just hush up and I'm going to do my own thing. And he like immediately started like buddying up with like retarded faggots like Kinoche.
Yeah, that's
and trying to
pretty bad
to avoid posting on the Kiwi Farms because I made fun of him for being a retard.
Everyone gets
the end result of him failing.
Everyone gets made of on Kiwi Farms, and everyone on Kiwi Farms is a retard. It's like retards are making fun of retards. It's perfectly fine. It's a retard hive mind. Okay.
As a father, was that his daughter fled the entire country, like 3,000 miles to Virginia, to the clutches of a fat retard. She had a mental breakdown, became impregnated, and had pornography of her released.
The way he phrased that, became impregnated. Okay. So she becomes pregnant. Becomes pregnated.
Against her will to the public. And this all could have been avoided if he had taken a less retarded approach to dealing with her, I believe.
Well, and to be fair, I mean, her name. I want to say Faye. It was a little retarded herself. I mean, even if he did try a soft approach, she probably would not respond. Do you really think she was going to leave Ethan Ralph if he tried a soft approach? Because first off, Ralph wouldn't even let her go. Ralph would check those messages and just wouldn't let her go. Okay, so no, I think there it was already kind of set in stone what was going to happen. Regardless the approach, at that point it was too late. At the moment she went to his house, now he's pretty much waiting on her to make up her decision based on the things that happened there, and I guess any sort of communication that she has with her family. But the problem is though, is when she was there, like there's all sorts of manipulation and other things going on, and psychological abuse and maybe some physical. So I don't know. I'm just speculating here. But it would not have been easy for her just to get out. Okay. I mean, that's the thing. The Noel here makes it seem like it would be super simple. I mean, I don't care much for Vickers. I think he's an idiot. Of course, there's a whole fiasco with me with him, right? Yeah, I didn't catch his bluff on that one, and it is what it is. But I still think he's a freaking idiot. I mean, obviously, you can see what happened here. It cost him so much to go after a man that barely makes anything, begs for change on the internet so he could pay for like tortas. Okay, the man has nothing. The man has nothing to give. So it's like I mean, that's a fool's game right there. Why would you do that? Why would you spend all sorts of crazy money on legal fees and legal proceedings, all that, just for an internet win? Just for an internet win. What does that matter? That's not going to help your family. That's not going to help you in any way.
Then, after eating the biggest L ever, having his genetic lineage permanently and inseparably conjoined with Ethan Ralph's forever and ever in a way that he has to bear some responsibility for because she is a single mother. He continued to try and fuck with Ralph on social media through a series of social media posts and by maintaining tacit relationships with people like Kinoshé, who are the biggest fucking losers around.
Yeah, and that's something that was brought up many, many times. Man, I remember that stuff. Like, it'd be like, hey, you say Ralph is harassing you, but you guys aren't afraid to say things. You guys aren't afraid to say things to him to antagonize him. All right, the flinging back and forth is not helping anyone. And of course, the cheerleaders will be like, "Oh, it's justified. It's justified." I understand he may feel he's in the right, and you guys may feel he's in the right, but like, to what end? I mean, what's the point? Just, once again, for internet wins, who gives a damn? That doesn't matter to anyone. That doesn't matter. That shouldn't matter. That shouldn't matter at all. Anyway, I mean, and here he has like a huge L here. The way I see this is Vickers in his little podcast thing he did, Vicious Vickers, whatever, could not outlast a dying show called The Kill Stream. The Kill Stream is in a long process of being aborted, a long process, and he could not outlast that. All he had to do is wait out just a little bit longer. But he couldn't do that. He could not do that. And knowing how stubborn he is, knowing how he's not going to change his ways unless something really forced him to, I'm really curious what happened here. Did he really get bankrupt from all the legal fees and all that stuff? Is it having to do with his business? Maybe a combination of both. Maybe a failing business, so you don't have an income there. You've been spending a lot of money on stupid legal fees. You have a lot of costs going on, and you're not really making a living. You can't make a living on the streams. It's just not happening. So, he just shuts it all down. I mean, I gotta say, even the Thorpes have staying power. Because even when the Thorpes are in their debt or like are like practically broke, they are broke now. They only have like less than $1,000 in their bank. They still have their RV and they're still making content for what it is. Oh man, I'm really surprised this happened. But yeah, that's another huge L. Not only did Vickers lose a lot of money to the point to where he had to shut things down to hunt down what would be pocket change of child support, he also, his podcast, his internet presence, couldn't outlast that of Ethan Ralph's, whose internet presence has been put in a corner, or pretty much like he's on life support. Like he's not even really there. Okay. Yeah, sure, he gets donations, but barely enough for lunch money. Okay. And that's literally that. I mean, Ethan Ralph could barely raise enough money, I don't think, to even pay the electricity or for the internet. I mean, it was just a matter of time before the kill stream just goes bye-bye. Okay. And Vicious Vickers couldn't outdo that. Well, that's another L. But once again, these are internet L's. Okay? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Maybe Vickers realized, this stuff doesn't matter. It's all just a bunch of dumb stuff and a waste of time. And maybe he disconnected to focus on real issues, real things that he can, focus on his life, focus on his kids, focus on his family. Maybe that's what he did. I doubt that, but, it's a possibility. I'll put it out there. Maybe. All right, Vickers. Well, it was good knowing you. Not really. But hopefully you're not in a situation that's as bad as the Thorpes. That's what I'll say. All right. With that said, you guys let me know what you think about this in the comments section, especially what you feel like with the theory. Let me know your theories as to what's happening here. Yeah. You have a good one.